Hey, and welcome to the 137th edition of Quote Scribbling Question, your weekly leadership development fix from me, Matt the Coaching Guy. This week, I focus on playing to your strengths. Because far too many people spend their careers trying to become competent at things that drain them, and too many leaders build teams by forcing people into rigid definitions rather than designing roles around the strengths already sitting in front of them. We've been taught that growth means fixing weakness, but in reality, the greatest growth often comes from doubling down on what already comes naturally. I've learned this the hard way. I stayed in a role for 5 years longer than I should have, and it drained the life out of me. I was a good area manager. I could execute, I could deliver, I could manage operations. But I became a far better head of, director, and MD because the roles matched how my brain worked. My strengths were never in being the best executor in the room. My strengths were in leadership, strategy, coaching people, seeing the bigger picture, and creating alignment. That doesn't mean execution wasn't important. It means I created far more impact when I operated in a space where my natural strengths lived. And the same applies for every leader and every team. The best leaders don't build teams full of identical people. They build teams where individual strengths complement one another. And instead of asking, how do I make the person fit the role? Ask, how do I shape the role so this person can thrive? Or how do I map this person into something better suited? Because the people who operate in their strengths create more energy, confidence grows, performance accelerates, ownership improves, impact compounds, and capability can be taught. Natural strengths are much harder to manufacture, so spend less time and effort and focus on strengths rather than development areas. Because even in situations where you have underperforming individuals, it's likely that they are in a role that isn't suited to them. There is no such thing as bad people at work. They're just in the wrong place, adding the wrong value. And this goes back to their strengths and how to support them in the best possible way. So here's your quotes for this week. Hide your weaknesses, play to your strengths. Jack Welch. You are more powerful when you're working in your area of strengths than when you are trying to fix your weakness. Tom Rath. The successful warrior is an average man with laser-like focus. Bruce Lee. And play to your strengths and hire for your weakness. Dan Sullivan. And so your quibble for this week is, and one of the biggest traps leaders fall into is believing that because they can do something, that therefore they should do it. Strong leaders often get promoted because they're capable, dependable, and intelligent, which means over time that they become the person everybody leans on. Before long, they're spending most of their time fixing problems, firefighting, micromanaging, completing tasks others should own, and sitting in work that drains them rather than energizes them. And the results, performance still looks fine from the outside, but they become frustrated, exhausted, and disconnected from the parts of leadership they are naturally brilliant at. The danger is that we slowly move away from the zone of genius and into the zone of obligation. So here's what to look out for. Your work feels heavier than it used to be. You're spending more time reacting than leading. You're constantly feeling mentally drained. Tasks take longer than they should. You're avoiding certain parts of your diary. You're busy all day but feel less sense of progress. You are doing work your team could do and your energy disappears even when the results are acceptable. And importantly, look at what gives you energy versus what takes it away. Your strengths usually leave you feeling stretched but energized. Your weaknesses often leave you feeling depleted even when completed successfully. So how can you return to playing to your strengths? Start with auditing your week honestly. Ask yourself, what work genuinely energizes me? Where do I naturally create the most value? What do people constantly come to me for? Which tasks feel instinctive rather than forced? And what work am I holding on to simply because I'm good at it? And then begin reshaping your role and the team around your strengths. Delegate tasks that drain you but strengthen others. Stop trying to be exceptional at everything. Hire or develop people whose strengths complement yours. Spend more time where your thinking is naturally strongest, and build systems around your weakness. The goal is not avoidance of the hard things. The goal is alignment, because sustainable high performance rarely comes from forcing yourself to operate outside your natural strengths every single day. The best leaders understand this about themselves, and great leaders build teams that understand this too. So here's your question for this week. What are you currently doing because you can, rather than because it's where you create your greatest impact? And what would change if you gave that work to someone whose strengths it truly activated? So thanks for listening to this week's newsletter. If you have any other subjects on leadership you'd like to hear more about, do drop me an email at matt@thecoachingguy.co.uk. And if you want to move from stretched to strategic in 90 days, creating more time, more energy, and more impact, drop me a DM and let's see how we can work together. Because this might even be a theme in your team right now, and I can offer this as a team coaching to create broader, visible impact. I hope this has made you stop and think about your leadership and the strengths that are around you. So have a great week. Bye for now.